जयत्यति बलो रामः लक्ष्मणश्च महाबलः राजा जयति सुग्रीवः राघवेणाभिपालितः। ॐ त्वामग्ने यज्ञानां त्वामग्नाये यज्ञानां होता विश्वेशांघायिताः देवै भायिर्मा नुषे जाना Sitaram, this is a mantra from the Sama Veda. In this mantra, we are invoking the fire god or Agni. In this mantra, we invoke Agni. O Agni, you are the invoker in yajnas. Vishwesham hitaha. You think you are a well-wisher for all the beings in this universe. Deve bhir manushe jane. You were established by the devatas within humans. Our Guru Rangana says when we interpret the Veda, there's two ways we can interpret it. The exoteric meaning or the esoteric meaning. The exoteric meaning or the external meaning of Agni is the visual fire that we can see in front of us. The esoteric meaning or the internal meaning of the Agni is an inspiration of universal welfare. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Let all people in this world be happy. That's why it says, Vishwesham hitaha. The Agni makes us all develop in our hearts that everyone in this world should be well. This is in the eye of the sadhaka who invokes that Agni. As we saw, Agni is Vishwesham hitaha. Similarly, in the Ramayana, when sage Valmiki starts, he asks sage Narada, Charitrena cha ko yuktaha sarva bhuteshu ko hitaha. Who in this world thinks of the welfare of all beings? This virtue is very important in Valmiki's eyes. And Narada says, that perfect human being who has this virtue as well is Rama. In the Ramayana, sage Valmiki says, Rakshita swasya vrittasya swajanasya cha rakshita. Rakshita jivalokasya swajanasya abhirakshita. Rama protects all the people in the world and he protects his own people as well. Rama himself says, Abhayam sarva bhutebhyaha. I will protect all the beings in this world. Abhayam. The word bhayam means fear or threats. We say that Rama protects us. He's abhayam. He takes away those fears from us. But in what way does he protect us? What type of threats do we have? There are two types of threats that we could have. External threats and internal threats. External threats are those threats that we get from our surroundings or from people around us. For example, in the Ramayana, there are many sages in the forest who are tortured by the Rakshasas. They come and surrender at Rama, asking them to protect him. Similarly, Sugriva comes to Rama in protection against his brother, Vali, who chases him all around the world, not giving him a place to stay. But Rama protects him. Rama protects us from these external threats through his valor. Rama defeats 14,000 Rakshasas in an hour and a half. He defeats Vali, the great warrior, with one arrow. It can be seen that Rama, with his valor, protects us from all these external threats. Second, we have internal threats. Internal threats are those threats that come from within. Our Guru Ranganna says, when we look at three threats, we have three types. We have the miseries from our past. In the present, we are stressed of what we are doing, of what we are going to do. And similarly, in the future, we are scared of all the unexpected uncertainties that will arise. These are our bhayas. And what Rama does is he gives abhaya to us. He removes those psychic complexes. How does he do that? He does it through his dharma. Ramo vigrahavan dharmaha. Rama is the personification of dharma. Rama emanates the values of dharma. If we practice those values and practice the path that Rama followed, we expand ourselves. We gain a purity in our hearts. We understand that our life is not just for us, but is for everyone around us. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. May all the beings in this world be happy. In this way, Rama protects us from internal and external threats. If someone is ready to attune himself to this path of dharma, ready to follow Rama, and ready to give up any adharmic bondages that he may have, Rama will never let go of him. This action of coming to him and attuning ourselves to him is known as Charanakathi or surrender. Even if a person just once, from the bottom of their hearts, feels that I belong to you, Rama, and I want to come to this path of dharma, Rama will protect him. When we say Charanakathi, surrender. So what type of person does this Charanakathi? What are the features of a Charanagata, one who comes in surrender? These features are Anukulyasya sankalpaha pratikulyasya varjanam rakshishyati iti vishwasaha goptriptva varanam tatha atmanikshepa karpanye shadvida sharanagati. There are 6 features for a Charanagata. Atmanikshepa. First, we start with Anukulyasya sankalpaha, attuning ourselves to his path of dharma, doing what he thinks is right. Pratikulyasya varjanam, giving up those adharmic deeds which are against his wishes. Rakshishyati iti vishwasaha, the complete trust that he will protect us in any scenario. Goptriptva varanam, selecting the one who has the capability of protecting us in any scenario. Atmanikshepam, complete surrender to him. And lastly, karpanye, the humility that he is the ultimate. These are the 6 features of a Charanagata. If a person has all these 6 features of a perfect Charanagata, Rama will never let him go. But he will do it even if you just say once from the bottom of our hearts that I belong to you. In the Ramayana, we can see a bunch of exemplary characters. Rama himself is the exemplary human. Sita Amma, our beloved Sita Amma, is the exemplary wife. Bharata is the exemplary brother. Guha is the exemplary friend. Sumantra is the exemplary minister. Ravana is the exemplary enemy, villain. And similarly, when we take the concept of Charanagati, the exemplary example in Ramayana itself is Vibhishna. Vibhishna had so many comforts, luxuries in Lanka, yet they were all obtained through adharmic ways. Ravana was a big adharmatma. He tortured many rakshasa, many rishis. He was a thief. That's why Lanka was prosperous. But Vibhishana understood this. He decided that he would not follow the path of adharma like his brother. He would come to the path of dharma and seek refuge in Rama. In this way, today, we will see the story of this Mahatma and his Sharanagati. Sajagama vanam viraha pratignyam anupalayan piturvachana nirdeshat kaikeya priyakaranat. Rama goes to the forest. Pratignyam anupalayan, to protect the promise. Piturvachana nirdeshat, because of his father's promise. Kaikeya priyakaranat, and the wishes of his mother. Our Guru Ranganna says that this sloka has beautifully been described in the hierarchy in which Rama goes to the forest. The main being to protect the promise. Second, his father's promise. And third, to fulfill his mother's wishes. Rama goes to the forest with his brother Lakshmana and his beloved wife Sita. In the forest, his beloved wife Sita is abducted by Ravana and kept in Lanka. Rama and Lakshmana search the entire forest looking for Sita. On the way, they make friendship with Sugriva and the Vanaras. On seeing them, they search the entire world looking for Sita. In all the directions, there is one. The great warrior Hanuman goes in the south direction. He goes to the coast and he jumps the vast ocean. On going to the other side of the ocean, he sees Sita in the Ashokavana. He comforts her. He tells her that Rama will be here soon to protect you. After comforting Sita, he confronts the evil Ravana. He tells her to give back Sita. Ravana is arrogant and does not heed his words. Ravana is ready to kill him, and he sets fire on his tail. But can fire contain the great warrior Hanuman? He burns the half of Lanka. He burns Lanka, and he comes back to Rama with the great news that Sita has been found. On hearing this news, Rama rushes to the coast and comes to the ocean, where he is ready to cross the ocean and fight Ravana to reclaim his beloved. On the other side, Ravana is perturbed. He is perplexed. He starts a meeting in his assembly. He says, I am ashamed. A single Vanara came here into the unpenetrable Lanka and destroyed our buildings. He destroyed our terraces. He defeated some of our great warriors. And Sita has also been seen. Ministers, I am not willing to give Sita back. What are we going to do? Tell me this. It is the time to plan. The enemy is at the front. They are about to cross the ocean and we are going to have a war. Ravana says, there are three types of planning when trying to solve a problem. The first type of planning, the best type of planning, is in which all the ministers have a common thought. They all have a sahridaya. And at the end, they come to the decision of that one thought. The second way, or the middle way, is when each of the ministers have a different thought. But at the end, they come to a single thought. They come to a compromise and they take a decision. And lastly, the worst way of planning is when everyone has different thoughts and they all do not come to a compromise and there is no decision taken. Ravana tells his ministers, let us use the first way of planning. Ravana says to his ministers valiantly, Rama is on the other side of the coast. He's with the Vanaras. He will destroy us. He will cross the ocean in some way. We must be ready. Let us plan. As he says this, all his ministers start to praise Ravana. Oh Ravana, you are great. You have defeated the Devas, Asuras, Yakshas, Gandharvas. You have defeated the great Kubera and got the Pushpaka Vimana, or a flying car. The demon king Maya, on fear upon you, gave you his daughter Mandodari in marriage. You have defeated many serpents like Takshaka, Shanka, Vasuki. Why are you scared? You don't even have to go to war. Your son Indrajit has beaten Indra himself. He enough can beat Rama like this. In this way, his ministers praise him. Then his commander-in-chief, Prahasta, starts. Hanuman attacked us when we let our guard down. We were not prepared. If he comes this time, we will definitely demolish him. Then the Rakshasa Durmukha gets up. He says, Hanuman's exploit was a great insult to Lanka. I myself will go and defeat him immediately. Then Vajradamshra gets up. Hanuman, he didn't do anything. He was just a small Vanara. My anger is all on Rama and Lakshmana. I will defeat them, he says. Then Nikumba, the son of Kumbhakarna, says, I alone can kill all these Vanaras, O king. Do not grieve. Vajrahanu, he stands up in the court. He says, O king, it has been many days since I ate. Give me the command. I will eat all these Vanaras and come back to you. On saying this, Ravana is very happy. His stress is being relieved. However, what all of these ministers says were all impractical. Though it seems possible, it's impossible. There was only one person in that entire ministry who was sane, who actually knew the reality of Rama's parakrama. It was none other than Ravana's younger brother, Vibhishna. He says, Apyupaye stribhistata yorthah praptum na shakyate tasya vikramakalan sthan yuktana hurmanishinaha. When solving a problem, there are 4 methods: Sama, Dana, Beda, and Danda. Before going to Danda or using our valor and strength, we have to first use the first 3 methods. We cannot directly go and wage war on Rama. Rama has not done anything wrong. It is us who are at mistake, at fault. We abducted his daughter, his wife. O Ravana, give back Sita. Please protect Lanka from Rama's terrible shafts. He will destroy us immediately. Tyajasva kopam sukadharma nashanam bhajasva dharmam ratikirti vardhanam prasida jivem saputra bandhavaha pradiyatam dasharathaya maithili. Leave your anger, which leads to the destruction of happiness and dharma. Adore dharma, which leads to more affection and glory. Let us live with our relatives and offspring. Please give back Maithili to Dasharathi. In this way, Vibhishana tries to bring Ravana into the dharmic path. But Ravana does not listen. He adjourns the court and goes into his chambers. Tatah pratyushasi prapte prapta dharmartha nishchayaha rakshasadhipater veshma bhima karma vibhishanaha. The next morning, the determined Vibhishana comes to see Ravana. He thinks, it is in the morning, our thoughts are fresh. We do not cloud our judgment with other thoughts. This is why we study in the morning when our minds are fresh. Similarly, Vibhishana comes to Ravana with this thought. Ravana is sitting gloriously on his throne. Seeing him with humility, he prostrates in front of his older brother. He says to his older brother, O Ravana, ever since you abducted Sita, there have been bad omens in this world. When we start the fire for yajnas, the fire does not burn. There's smoke which covers the fire. There are serpents and ants which come around the fire. When we try to milk the cows, the milk which they give are already curdled. At sunset and sunrise, there are jackals howling. There are large beasts which make noises at our gates. All these bad omens are noticed by all the Rakshasas and Rakshasis of Lanka. Even your ministers know of these bad omens, yet they are afraid of you. they're afraid to tell you about this. I am your brother. I am your younger brother. It is my duty to tell you. You might think of me as greedy or immature, but let that be. I am still telling you to come into Dharma. Please give back Sita to Rama. Let us live happily in Lanka. Ravana says, I am not scared of anyone. Not a mere human like Rama can do anything to me. I have defeated the Devas and Asuras. Saying this with an arrogant tone, Ravana again adjourns the meeting. Vibhishana is not satisfied. He knows from the bottom of his heart that he can bring Ravana to this path of Dharma. Ravana then goes to court. He decides that we should have a meeting. Now, it is the time for meeting. He says to his ministers, "Oh ministers, please call all those in Lanka. We are to have a meeting of how to execute the next plan. Rama is about to come here. We are not giving back Sita. But how are we going to defeat Rama?" As he says this, all the ministers go throughout Lanka and they bring all the ministers. They are all dressed very royally. They are all wise. They all know political science very well. Each one of those warriors comes to the court. Today especially, everyone has folded their arms and bent their head, because today there is a huge entity coming to the court. That huge entity is no one else but Ravana's younger brother, Kumbhakarna. After sleeping for 6 months, he has come to court today. Everyone today decides they are scared, because if Kumbhakarna comes, they don't know what to do. If he says that Sita has to be given back to Rama, then they all decide that we shall all nod our heads, because they are scared to go against Kumbhakarna. And similarly, if he says that we should fight with Rama, then we shall all raise our swords and be ready to fight Rama. But don't they have their own thinking processes? Wouldn't they want welfare for the king? That might be true, but if someone is against Kumbhakarna, he doesn't reason with them, he doesn't scold them, he doesn't beat them. All he does is eat them. So, all the ministers are at court today. Ravana starts the meeting. He says, "Oh ministers, I wanted to plan before, but some of our ministers were not here, like my younger brother Kumbhakarna. He is my right arm in all my decisions. He has given us many victories, so I wanted to consult him before taking any decision." On saying this, he says, "I abducted Sita. I am attracted to her. I do not wish to give her back to Rama. Now please tell me, how are we going to wage war with Rama?" On saying this, Kumbhakarna is infuriated. He is enraged. He says to Ravana, "You have done a stupid decision. You have taken a stupid decision. What is the point of discussing with us after the deed has been done? If you had discussed with us before you abducted Sita, we would have told you what was best for you. But now there is no point. A person in Dharma would never have second thoughts, because he has a clarity in his mind that he's doing the right thing. Whereas a person in Adharma he won't know what to do. He'll have second thoughts on everything, because he won't be firm. He won't have a clarity in his mind." On saying this, Kumbhakarna says, "You have taken a stupid decision, yet you are fortunate enough that Rama has yet to defeat you. Rama's arrows have not come here yet. Do not worry, O brother. I will defeat him for you. I will fight Rama and Lakshmana and all those Vanaras, and I will definitely kill them all." Saying this, Kumbhakarna ends. Kumbhakarna started by trying to bring his brother into Dharma, but ultimately he came back to his Rakshasa Swabhavam. The commander-in-chief, Prahasta, says, "All the army is all ready and equipped. Command us, and we shall go and attack him." After saying this, Vibhishana listens to all what the ministers had to say, how they are giving the king these ill-informed decisions. ideas. Vibhishna says, Sita is like a serpent. Who wishes to keep a serpent on our lap? It will bite us and put the venom all over us. We are only in danger of a serpent when it bites us and the venom comes into us. But even the thought of keeping Sita will kill us immediately. It will lead to our destruction. We should not meddle with such pativratas, such chaste women. Vibhishna says this. He says, you are all talking like this because you haven't seen Rama in action yet. His arrows have not yet come here. The second he comes here, all of you guys are going to run away. Prahasta tries to argue more. He says, we have defeated Devas, Asuras, and anyone. Rama is not a mere human. What can he do to us? Vibhishna says, no one in this world can stand in the path of Rama. Neither Ravana, Kumbhakarna, Atikaya, Nikumba, Kumbha, any of our warriors in our army cannot stand in front of him. As Vibhishna says this, he says, all of you are like foes in the guise of friends. As a minister, we should be telling the king a good decision, interpreting and analyzing what the best judgment is, and telling the king. Yet you are all telling the king what is wrong. On saying this, Ravana's son, Indrajit, gets up. He says, there cannot be another coward in the world like Vibhishna. Even a trivial soldier in our army is enough to defeat Rama. I have defeated the Devas, Asuras, and everyone in this world. Why should I be scared of a mere human? Vibhishna, you lack courage, bravery, or splendor. As saying this, he insults his father's younger brother. Vibhishna, insulted by Indrajit's words, says, you are a child. Why were you even allowed into this court? You are immature. You do not know how to take proper decisions. You are ultimately wishing for the downfall of your own father, the demise of your own father. As he says this, the Ravana, who was not affected by all the ministers insulting Vibhishna, is enraged with what Vibhishna says to his son. He says to Vibhishna, you had said before that no one would want to keep a snake on their lap. You can even sleep with a snake on your lap. Only if destiny, if it wills to bite you, will it bite you. But having people like you, who seem like a friend, are a well-wisher, but actually are foe, those are the real enemies. Those are happy when the people are in problems. When people like me are in problems, you are happy. I can see this virtue in relatives. Relatives, you never know when they're going to strike. Ravana says such insulting words to Vibhishna. All of us know that relatives are actually the people who help us. Our relatives are our well-wishers. They always want us to be well, and they might even tell us harsh words. But that's always for the best. But Ravana did not understand this. He thinks of Vibhishna as his enemy. On hearing these words, Vibhishna finally understands. He had that small part in his heart that he thought that he could correct Ravana, but he understood that that wasn't possible. He takes his mace and goes into the sky. He says to Ravana, you are my elder brother, and I have respect for you. However, you are not in the path of dharma. I tried to my level best to bring you to the path of dharma, but you did not heed my words. I am unable to tolerate your insulting words. Many people talk sweet, but there are only a few who talk those harsh words to correct us and make us better. I do not wish to see you or our clan get destroyed. I shall leave Lanka and I shall go. May you be well, may you be glorious. On saying this, Vibhishna leaves through the air of Ravana's court. Seeing Vibhishna go, against adharma and go to the path of dharma, 4 other ministers in that court also go in the air. Those 5 ministers, including Vibhishna, seem like the Pancha Pranas are leaving Lanka. On leaving the side of adharma, they come to the other shore, where the great Dharmatma, Rama, has camped. They stand in the Akasham, they stand in the sky. Sahi Meghachala Prakyaha Mahendra Samavikramaha Sarva Yudhadharo Viraha Divya Bharana Bhushitaha. Vibhishana resembles a black cloud. He is like a mountain in the air. He has brought all the weapons required to help Rama continue this path of dharma and defeat Ravana. He, with the other 4 ministers, stands in the air. The Vanaras below see him, including King Sugriva. Sugriva says to those Vanaras, "Those are Rakshasas. They are coming from the enemy's side. They are definitely here to fight with us. Be prepared, be cautious, take your weapons. We shall defeat them immediately." Vibhishana sees them all getting prepared for war. He says with his thundering voice, "I am the younger brother of Ravana, the evil Ravana. He abducted Sita by killing the Mahatma Jatayu. He keeps Sita in the Ashoka Vana, but guarded by Rakshasis. As his younger brother, I tried to bring him to the path of dharma, but he did not heed my words. Just as a person on his deathbed does not wish to take medicine, he did not heed my words. Understanding that he would not listen and come to the dharmic path, I left all my luxuries and comforts and status behind, and I have come to seek refuge in Rama." Sarvaloka Sharanyaya Raghavaya Mahatmane Nivedayatamam Kshipram Vibhishanamupasthitam Charanam Sharanam Sharanam Rama Charanam Sharanam Sharanam Rama Sharanam 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 Rama Sharanam 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 Rama Charanam Sharanam Sharanam Rama Charanam Sharanam Sharanam Rama Annayum Neere Annalum Neere Anbanum Neere Akilamum Neere Charanam Sharanam Sharanam Rama Umakanukulamana Aratai Patrinen Pratikulamana Patrai Arave Aruten Charanam Sharanam Sharanam Rama Rakshipirandra Nambiyavanden Rakshikummaye Pugalidam Bugunden Charanam Sharanam Sharanam Rama Tangalukke என்னை அர்ப்பணம் செய்தேன் தங்களுக்கே என்னை அர்ப்பணம் செய்தேன் தண்டனிட்டேனையா 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 அரங்க Devame Charanam Sharanam Sharanam Rama Sharanam 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 Rama Charanam Sharanam Sharanam Rama. On seeing those Vanaras ready for war, he says, Rama's group is all-inclusive. When there is a hunter like Guha, or a huntress like Shabari, or Vanaras like Sugriva or Hanuman, or bears like Jambavan, or the squirrel, can there not be this Rakshasa as well? Sarvaloka Sharanyaya. To the person who gives protection to all those beings in the world. Raghavaya. Rama is from the Raghu clan. The Raghu dynasty is known for giving refuge for all those who seek it. There are some in the Raghu clan who did not practice this, like Asamanja. But he is calling Raghavaya Mahatmane, the Mahatma in the Raghu clan, which is none other than our Raghava, Rama. Vibhishanam upasthitam. I am Vibhishana standing at your gates. Nivedayata Mankshipram. Please lead me fast. Submit me to him. Here, it is as though he is asking those Vanaras who are close to Rama, who are serving Rama, to submit him to Rama instead of asking Rama himself. Just as we go to our gurus to teach us and take us to the Almighty, Vibhishana asks the same to those Vanaras. The bhavana in which this song is set is as if Vibhishana is coming, that he does not have any guarantee that Rama will protect him, but he is coming here to practice that dharma. He is coming as a refuge of Rama with the belief that Rama will not let him go, and we know that Rama will never let him go. On hearing this, Sugriva goes anxiously to Rama inside his camp. He says to Rama, "O Rama, the brother of our enemy, Vibhishana has come. Be careful in the way that we marshal our army and spy networking. Be careful in the way we lead. These Rakshasas are deceptive. They can take any form that they want. He should not be trusted. He could come into our army, infiltrate us from within, and defeat us. He will find our loopholes and target them. He must be sent by Ravana as a spy to find our weaknesses. We should definitely not accept Vibhishana." By saying this, Sugriva finishes. Rama patiently listens to what Sugriva has to say. Rama says to all the Vanaras present in his camp, "What the king says is meaningful and vital. During times that we need to take decisions, kings disclose information and take decisions with their well-wishers. You are all my well-wishers. So please guide me on how we are supposed to take this forward. Should we accept Vibhishana?" He asks this to all those present. The Vanaras say to Rama, "O Rama, you have a deep understanding of all those in the world. There is nothing that is unknown to you. You are in the path of dharma. You follow Satyam, you follow the truth. You are asking us to guide you, showing your humility. Because you have asked us, we will tell you." Rama's court begins. All the Vanaras have circled around Rama. Rama sitting in the middle, like his king, like the king. The ministers contemplate for some time, and then one valorous minister gets up. The son of Vali, Angada, with his thundering voice, he says, "O Rama, these Rakshasas should not be trusted. You never know what they will do. They will find our loopholes and defeat us. But when we are to accept someone into our army, we should judge them based off their merits and demerits. If Vibhishana has more merits than demerits, then we shall accept him. If he does not, we shall not accept him." Then, from the other side, Sharabha gets up. He says, "O Rama, why don't we send a spy? A spy will be able to observe Vibhishana and check what his intentions are." Then the great Jambavan gets up. He has a vast knowledge in political science. He says to Rama, "O Rama, this is not the right time or right place for anyone to join our army. Isn't it suspicious that he is coming to us when we are at the coast of the ocean, about to wage war on his brother? He should definitely not be accepted. He is definitely from the enemy's side." Then the great Mainda, after listening to all of this, says, "O Rama, why don't we send one of our people who is unknown to Vibhishana? He will talk with him subtly and understand what his true intentions are. If he is pure of heart, if he is as he says, and he wants to come here seeking refuge in you, then we shall accept him. If he does not, we shall punish him." On saying this, the ministers continue to talk. After these ministers finish, there is one more minister who gets up. "Atha samskara sampanno Hanuman sachivotamaha uvacha vachanam shlakshnam arthavat madhuram laghu." The cultured and the best minister of Rama gets up. It is none other than Hanuman. He says in an easy and understandable way, but short yet sweet. He says to Rama, "You are beautiful in your speaking abilities and you are equal to Brihaspati. Navadan na pisangharshan na dhikyan na chakamataha vakshyami vachanam rajan yathartham ramagauravat." I do not have a desire to talk, neither the desire to perplex people, dominate anyone here. I am here to protect Rama's vital nature, that is all. Since he has asked us to say our perspectives, that is why I am talking. He says, the perspective given by our ministers were beautiful and very in-depth. However, I have a few different views on those perspectives. One great minister said that we should check his merits and demerits. How will we find his merits and demerits? The only way to find his merits and demerits is to give him a task. But without knowing him entirely, what type of task can we give him? That will be impractical, so we won't be able to understand him entirely. Another great minister said that we should send a spy. Vibhishana is already at our gates. It's not like we can send a spy from the back door to come and absorb him. It is too late for that. Then another great minister had said that this was not the right time or right place. However, I feel that this is the right time and this is the right place. Vibhishana has understood Ravana's evil intentions and comes here knowing the strength of Rama. He's here seeking refuge in him. So this is the right time for him to come. And another minister had said that we have to send someone to speak with him subtly to understand his purity. If he is as he says and has come with a pure heart, and we go and try to probe him and understand what his true intentions are, he will feel that we are doubting his integrity. This will make him have second thoughts about joining our army. On saying this, he says, Sugriva was established as the king after Rama killed Vali, and similarly, Vibhishana has also come in search for Rama to help him gain the kingdom from the adharmic Ravana. On saying, Hanuman says, to conclude, I did not have the intention to put down anyone or say anyone's thought process was wrong. This was my perspective. Rama, you are all understanding and you know what to do. Now it is up to you on what decision you are going to take. How beautifully Hanuman just spoke. Without reducing anyone's status or affecting anyone's ego, he beautifully explained what the practicality of the judgment was and what to do. As we heard before, Ravana had said how to plan. Though he had said to use the best way of planning, at the end, he only used the worst type of planning. But this is the true way to plan effectively. Look at how Rama listened to all his ministers. After listening to all his ministers, he is going to come to a decision. One thing that we can see within both the groups, where Rama's group is better, is that they did not show their ego in any case. Whereas in Ravana's army, everyone was saying that we are better than the enemy, and they kept reducing their enemy status. But in Rama's army, they always gave the amount of respect required to their enemy. And this is why, at the end of the day, they were successful. Because they understood their enemy's strengths, not only their weaknesses. On hearing what all the ministers had to say, Rama says, I too have something to say about this. He says, Mitra bhavena sampraptam natyajeyam kathanchana dosho yadyapi tasya syate satam etadagarhitam. To the person who comes to me with the true eye of affection, I will not give him up at any cost, even if he has any flaws. The good elders who have practiced this will accept my action. If we see, Rama sees everyone with the eye of affection, and he is willing to accept them if they themselves believe that they want to come in the path of dharma. This value of Rama is also echoed in the Vedas. In the Shukla Yajurveda, the 36th Suktam and 18th mantra, it says, Dhrute driggeha ma mitrasya ma chakshusha sarva ani bhutani samiikshantam. Mitrasyaham chakshusha sarva ani bhutani samiikshe. Mitrasya chakshusha samiikshamahe. In the Veda, it says, let all beings look at me with the eye of affection. May I look at all the beings with the eye of affection. May we all look at each other with the eye of affection. This is echoed with what Rama says, Mitra bhavena sampraptam, the one who comes with the affection, who is ready to come into this dharmic path. Rama will never let go of him, even if he has some flaws. After saying this, Sugriva says, whether Vibhishana is good or bad, he has given up his own brother. If he was able to give up his own brother, how do we know that he won't give us up in the future? Rama listens to what Sugriva says and smiles to his younger brother. He says, only someone with such a vast knowledge in political science could say what Sugriva has said. But he turns to Sugriva and says, but Sugriva, there is a more subtle meaning in this. When there are two royals in a kingdom, if they have contradicting views, it is hard for both of them to live together. There will be fear of one another, of what the other person is going to do. And in the case that one is stronger than the other, then the weaker one will always be in fear. And similarly, Vibhishana wants to be in the dharmic path, and Ravana is adharmic. They must have contradicting viewpoints. And so therefore, out of fear, Vibhishana has come here, seeking refuge in us. Not all brothers can be like Bharata, not all sons can be like me, and not all friends can be like you, O Sugriva. Our Guru Rangana says a beautiful viewpoint, insight here. The Ramayana indicates to us in this point that not if an elder brother is like Rama, then the younger brother has to be like Bharata. Yet, if an elder brother is like Ravana, then the younger brother should be like Vibhishana. On saying this, Sugriva says, he is still the brother of our enemy. He will try to harm us in some way or another. He will find our loopholes. We should not accept him at any cost. What if he harms you, O Lord? Rama says, Pishachan, Danavan, Yakshan, Prithivyam, Chaiva, Rakshasan, Angulyagrena Hanyam, Icchan Hariganeshwara. If there were monsters, Yakshargan, Rakshasas, Gandharvas, Devas, whatever it be, I can defeat them with the tips of my fingers. I have that much strength. He doesn't say that he has that much strength, but we know of Rama's valor. He says, Shruyate hi kapotena shatrusharanamagataha architascha ithanyayam swaischa mamse nimantritaha. We have all heard of the dove couple story from our elders. If that dove could give refuge to the hunter who was his enemy and sacrificed himself, then why can't I? In this story, there is a dove couple. They are living happily in the forest. One day, a hunter comes and captures the female bird. The hunter goes around the forest, wanders around the forest to try to find any other animals that he can capture, but he cannot find anything. He is tired and is starving. He comes and sits under a tree. Coincidentally, that is the tree of the doves. The male dove is on that tree. He sees the hunter in his dilemma. Though he is his enemy, he has come to his house seeking refuge. He sees him, the dove thinks that he has to give protection to the atithi, the guest that has come to his house. Though he has taken his beloved, he has to protect him at all costs. The dove creates a fire and sacrifices himself in that fire so the hunter can eat. If the dove had such a purity of its heart and protection towards a refugee, can I not do the same to this Vibhishana? If a refugee comes seeking protection to us, we must not tell him to go. It is one of the most hated sins in the world to turn away a refugee. If a person sees a refugee dying in front of his eyes and he had the capability to protect him, but he does not, then as that refugee leaves this earth, he not only takes away his soul, but he also takes away the merits that protector had gained. Rama says, if I do not protect him, I will not be following what the elders have practiced. Not giving protection to refugees leads to ill fame and diminishing heroism. Let me practice what my elders have done in the past. He says, with a great tone, Sakrideva prapannaya tavasmiti cha yachate abhayam sarvabhutebhyaha dadam yetat vratam mama. Even if once a person from the bottom of their heart says, O Lord, I belong to you, I will give him protection from all the beings in this world, and I give protection to all those beings in the world. This is my nature. He says this to Sugriva. Anayenam harishreshtha dattamasma bhayam maya vibhishano va Sugriva yadiva ravanasvayam. Bring Vibhishana here. I will give abhayam to all those who come to me. Not just Vibhishana, but even if Ravana himself comes here, I will give him protection if he comes to seeking refuge in me. On saying this, Sugriva says to Rama, what is there to say when you talk like this? You are in the path of dharma. I know Vibhishana is pure, but I tested him intuitively through my heart and I assessed him. He says, Tasmat kshipram sahasmabhi tulyo bhavatu raghava. Let us bring him here immediately. Let us all see he is like us, so let us bring him immediately. What this means is that in Rama's Sannidhana, everyone is equal. Everyone is equal. Sugriva understands this. It may seem to us that Sugriva is trying to possess Rama, but actually he is trying to protect Rama. As Sugriva says this, he enthusiastically goes to go bring Vibhishana. He brings Vibhishana to Rama's court. Vibhishana prostrates in front of that Rama. Rama embraces Vibhishana, and as a favor to his refugee, he crowns him the king of Lanka on the coast itself. He crosses the vast ocean. He goes to Ravana and he starts the great war. On defeating Ravana, he gives abhayam to those rishis in the forest who came for Sharanagati, who surrendered to him to protect them from the atrocities done by those Rakshasas. He gives abhayam to Vibhishna by giving him the kingdom to rule in a dharmic way. And most of all, he gives abhayam to his beloved wife, Sita, by regaining her and protecting her. After giving the kingdom to the dharmic Vibhishna, he has another abhayam to give to his younger brother Bharata, who had surrendered to him some time ago. He goes back to Ayodhya and gives abhayam to Bharata. He gets coronated as the king of Ayodhya. In the Ramarajya, Sarvam mudidamevasit sarvo dharma paro bhavate ramamevanu nabhyahinsan parasparam. Everyone was happy in the way Rama ruled. They were all practitioners of dharma. Ramamevanu pashyantaha. They all followed Rama. They all only saw Rama and his dharmic path. They did not hurt one another and lived in unison with one another. Nitya pushpa nitya phalaha taravaskanda vistritaha kale varshi cha parjanyaha sukasparshascha marudaha. The trees were always blossomed with flowers. The wind blew at the right times. The rain fell and made the crops grow well. The people lived happily on the earth and did not harm the earth, the nature was happy on the way that the people lived, and the nature did not harm the people. Asan praja dharma rathaha rame shasati nanritaha sarve lakshana sampannaha sarve dharma parayanaha. All the people were practitioners of dharma. They all lived with integrity and honesty. They all had the features of a Sharanagata, as we saw before. And they all followed Rama in his path of dharma. On saying this, Rama established his kingdom, not only in Ayodhya, but through the entire world. And he ruled there, just as he does today. Rama, our Guru Rangana says, Rama created a home in which all of us can live. In the Vedas, it comes, Yatra Vishwam Bhavati Eka Nidam. Where everyone comes, there is a nest. Rama gives abhayam to all those present in the world. In Rama's world, everyone is treated equally. Everyone has the right to assembly. Everyone has a sahridayam, has a common thought to practice dharma. Everyone comes to decisions together. They all wish for the welfare of each another. This is reflected in the same Veda mantra. Samano mantra samitis samani samanam manassaha chittame esham samanam mantram abhimantrayeva samane nago havisha ajuhomi. Rama gives abhayam to everyone. He sees everyone equally. As we saw, who comes with the eye of affection and wants to come in this path of dharma. Everyone is equal, and Rama gives protection from all sorts of threats. He is the Vishvesham Hitaha, or Sarvabhuteshu Kohitaha, the one who thinks of the welfare for all those beings. Listening to this story, let us all surrender to that great Lord who gives us protection, Abhayam, and let us all wish for the welfare of one another. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu yataha abhyudaya nishreyasa siddhihi sadharmaha veda pramanam dharmasya dharmo rakshate Rakshitaha Ramo Vigrahavan Dharmaha Ramo Pasanena Dharma Vriddhihi Rama Tavasmi வாழ்க்கையே ராமனாகும் ராமனே வாழ்வுமாகும் ராமனே வாழ்வு தன்னில் வாழ்க்கையே ராமன் தன்னில் ராமனின் ராஜ்யந்தான் தேவ சாம்ராஜ்யம் கான். Sitaram, I thank all my gurus, Rangana, for giving me this opportunity to speak in front of you all today. I thank the organization Gnana Vittal for also giving us the opportunity to see this great Sharanagati of Vibhishna. Sitaram.